Welcome to Tone Talk. Welcome to Tone Talk.
So this is Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. Looking forward to having a discussion about Joe Biden proposing that teenagers be allowed to drive trucks interstate. I didn't see nearly the reaction amongst black folks in particular that should happen, but it's okay. They coming. Your baby's gonna be driving these trucks. This is not a proposal either. This is coming. This is happening. So when your baby come in and say, "Mama, I already signed up for our first load. Do you mind riding with me to Colorado? Because I'm not too sure about myself." Just be ready. Put your jacket on. Put your jacket on, okay? It's already, this is happening. This ain't no idea. Oh my God. You ever been in one of them trucks? We gonna get to that. I'm gonna show you the inside. It don't look like no new BMW in there. It smell like old pine. It smell like diesel and wood. And you gotta sit in there. Better be ready. Oh God. Here we go. Quantum, be quiet. I start sighing when you start laughing. That's why. Let's get to going on this discussion today. You know how we get to it. So Joe Biden proposed, done been pushed by business. Don't let y'all think that this is his idea. This man graduated from Delaware State at the bottom of his class. This is the idea of them trucking companies that don't want to pay people properly. So what they're going to do is they're going to interject new blood in the form of your little 16-year-old that when he graduates won't have no inheritance, no transfers, and no free community college. Y'all remember Joe Biden promised free community college when he ran. But now instead of free community college, he's going to give you free trucking school. Oh, no. He's going to give you low-cost trucking school. Oh, no. He's going to give you an apprenticeship you can pay for. Can we talk about it? I just want to get into the discussion. So Biden administration is rolling out teenage truckers to ease supply chain woes. Now, this is going to be an engaged conversation, and at certain points, I'm going to allow you guys to call in, give me your opinion on your babies, on your cousins, on your nieces, driving a truck interstate across Colorado in the snow. But right now, we're going to set the framework. So we're looking at President Joe Biden, who Adolf said, down ballot Democrat. We were demanding a black agenda and reparations. For that, we got attacked at the highest level. Don't think this was no game. Don't think that Harvard was just Harvard independently. We're going to ferret that out. But what we do know is that Joe Biden, his administration, we know that Joe Biden, can we talk about it, was involved in structuring how we got rid of bankruptcy on student loans. Do you know what bankruptcy does for student loans? It brings it into factor where you can negotiate. We know Joe Biden was a key architect with mass incarceration, in particular mass incarceration of black males, but people at large in America. We know Joe Biden, along with Barack Obama, are not remembered enough for their greatest legacy. Uber. Under Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they gutted labor laws and gave you Uber. So now they're going to take it a step further and let your teenager drive a truck. And a lot, I don't know, your grandmama voted for this and she cool with it because she got her pension. Can we talk about it? Can we bring it up? I said this would happen years ago. This is craziness. So when I say years ago, back in 2015, back in 2014, I write the Rise of Legacy piece in the Huffington Post, but I also tell you guys, and me and Yvette did a Balls of Wealth video. You might remember in 2015. And I tell you guys, they're going to have your babies working because they try to educate them so they can become Uber drivers. I said this would happen years ago. This is craziness. The Biden administration is set to launch an apprenticeship program to let 18-year-olds take jobs as long-haul truckers, despite a steady increase in fatal truck crashes over years. Can we talk? Do you understand how crazy this is? Maybe you don't until it's your turn on the merry-go-round. Truck driving is an awful job, particularly interstate truck driving. I'll get to it in a second, but there's several factors that happen when somebody drives across state lines. One of them is they usually don't come home at night. So they sleep in their truck because they can't park in no motel. Plus the motels are so expensive because they gouge them. It's so dangerous that you just sleep in your truck. So you out there, 20 degree, 10 degree, below 0 degree weather, bundled up, sleeping in the truck. That's your baby. You promised them the world. You did no politics, didn't do reparations. We told you about ADOS. You told us Pan Africanism. Now they in the truck, frigid, bundled up. I'm just talking to you. Oh, Kelton said it takes a ton of skills to drive a truck and focus. How many of y'all babies can't get off their iPhone? They're gonna mess around and kill somebody. I'm just telling you. Now, I'm gonna be fair and read a section of this article to frame this thing. You gotta follow me because we gonna talk in numbers. We're gonna talk in facts. We understand that they're gonna give them so many hours of apprenticeship, but you know that can be fudged. And what does apprenticeship do if at the end of the day you eventually you got to be like 19 years old, 18 and a half, and get in that truck, getting that big heavy truck? Y'all know about the braking in trucks? See, I deal a lot of my clients I deal with too are truck drivers as well. It's air brakes. It ain't regular brakes where it's a brake pad. It's air brakes. So the stopping area is like 4 car lengths. You got to really know how to drive these trucks. It's not like driving the car. If you crash into somebody, even going 10 or 15 miles an hour, you can kill them. It isn't like bumping into somebody with a car. Can we talk? Can we talk for a second? Oh, Black to Death. Also, he a seasoned driver, so he probably get good routes. They're gonna give these babies. They're gonna have you carrying trash across the country to another trash garbage disposal place, another place to drop the garbage off. How much they gonna pay you? The average pay is 52 cents a mile. So you do the math. I'm talking from facts right now. 52 cents a mile. Ain't good job. Now, if you can carry some hazardous material, again, that's for the seasoned drivers. And you got your own truck, again, that's for somebody older. Average truck driver driving long haul right now is 48 years old. If you got the willingness to be able to be up at 4 a.m., how many of y'all have drove 7 hours straight in a car, let alone doing 18? It's not an automatic. Clink, 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 clink. I just showed y'all. We're going to show it again at one point. The reason I'm doing this show is I want to frame this because I don't see the reaction from you. I don't see the boiling frustration that you should have. I just don't want to hear about it when the truck, like when your baby come home and it's time to get in the truck, that ain't the time to complain. It really is too late now because this is actually here. You should have been down by the Democrat more than I was. I don't have a child. It's you that needs it. Grandparents that are watching, people with children that are 16 and 17 with no possibilities out there watching. If you know your baby is a C- or a B+ student, ask yourself, if you ain't gonna give them no money, what they gonna do in this world? Truck drive. They gonna sell them on it. I'll tell you how they do it. They give them the dream, but they don't tell them the dream that they talking about. You got to take out the cost of insurance, like $1,500 a month. You got to take out the truck. If you don't, you're going to have to rent the truck. So they're going to gouge you like sharecroppers to get the truck, especially the young babies, because they know how often those don't come back. So by the time you take it out, you're getting paid to drive with driving. You done took out the truck and the insurance and everything else. You ain't even getting paid unless you just don't pay your taxes. And you let this man do this. And y'all let this man do this. Y'all sitting in these houses and playing. And I'm telling you right now, this is not just a show about the project or the new policy of truck driving. It is about the impact it will have on your lives because it's coming. You know how you can keep your kid from truck driving? Give them 100,000, 250,000. You know how I know you don't have it? Because I know the numbers on black folks. Only 5% of black homes worth 350 hard. Almost all retirees. So none of y'all have enough to keep your kids from truck driving. You're going to mess around, your kid going to go to college and truck drive after college. Just to get by. Can we talk? I'm just saying. Oh, Miss Callie says, I've had 2 collisions with semi-trucks and they line the highway by my house. I can't really drive freely between the hours of 9 and 8. I'll never forget, I'm driving in Alabama. And the thing about it is, y'all, a lot of y'all in red states, concentrated. I ain't faulting you. That's where you was born. That's where you was raised. But there is a quality of life that you don't understand, from how they don't repave the roads, so it'd be dangerous, to how they drive. See, here you can't go in California, blue state, you can't go more than 55 in a truck. Nuh-uh, not no 3-axle truck. But in Alabama, when I drove through there coming from Mississippi, it was downpouring rain and the trucks was going 80. You don't think your baby gonna go 80? Think they gonna be the safe one? Nah. They trying to get home and play some video games. They gonna mess around and be playing video games while they drive. Y'all ready for that risk? So let's get right into the subject matter in the article that starts it off. This is out of the Huffington Post. This is a liberal source, so I don't want you taking source and trying to make a skewed argument. Biden administration rolling out teenage truckers to ease supply chain woes. Before I start reading, please press the subscribe button and the bell. Share this video. Also support on the super chat. My Cash App is Tone Talks. My Patreon is Tone Talks. Support these channels if you want to keep getting this material, this information, because that's how myself, Yvette Carnell, Zoe Williams, so many others are able to continuously take time out of our days, lives, and do this for you. Buying webcams so that we can come on here and show you things. All that. Support us. Support me. Support ADOS, the foundation, as well, with your time and your money. Join the chapters as they roll out. Support with some donations to the ADOS Foundation. But we here and we having it. Please call in 310-388-3499, 310-388-3499. Whether you're a truck driver or your children are of age and you don't know what the kind of work they're going to do and you're worried about this, whether they Uber drivers and you see where it's going. I want to hear from you, hear your opinion. Let's get the queue going. I see people calling in already. Biden administration rolling out teenage truckers to ease supply chain woes. The Biden administration is set to launch an apprenticeship program to let 18-year-olds take jobs as long-haul truckers, despite a steady increase in fatal truck crashes over the years. We recall that less than, I think, a month ago, maybe even a month and a half, young guy was given 110 years for killing 4 people while driving the truck. Now, they reduced it to 10 years, but he got 110 initially. You don't want to be on the other side of that because your baby shouldn't have been out there driving no truck, but you didn't do the reparations work and you don't have no wealth. Now, in addition, we come back to it. I said it just maybe 5-10 minutes ago. Joe Biden gutted bankruptcy when it comes to student loans. Joe Biden was an architect of mass incarceration. He pushed Reagan, putting all these black boys and families behind bars. Joe Biden, along with Barack Obama, gave us Uber, which should not exist. Uber, Grubhub, none of it should exist. Those are not businesses that are employing people. Those are businesses that are exploiting the fact that Joe Biden and Barack Obama allowed the contract labor laws to be bastardized. But now this same man who we told you not to vote for without a demand for reparations and a black agenda is about to put your babies in a truck and drive them across the country to make sure his family got food in their refrigerator. Can we talk? And you okay with it? And you were letting your grandma sit around and say, I voted for Biden. And y'all good. She ain't leaving y'all no bread. But she want to play pity pat at Thanksgiving. She wanted pictures of the Halloween costumes. She want all the accoutrements. Can we talk? The Biden administration is set to launch an apprenticeship program to let 18-year-olds take jobs as long-haul truckers despite a steady increase in fatal truck crashes over the years. The truck driving industry has long clamored for Congress to lower the legal driving age for interstate trucking from 21 to 18, and lawmakers delivered the apprenticeship program as part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill last year. That's wrong. See, they got to learn how to write. It wasn't the truck industry. You got the actual truck people, the people that drive trucks. They don't want this new labor in here. One, because it's risky and dangerous, and two, because it leads to lower wages for the whole industry. It's the people the businesses that actually need truckers that want this. So write correctly, Huffington Post. Don't say the truck industry. Freight carriers have complained for years they can't find enough drivers, though economists have pointed out that supposed shortage results from low pay and difficult work conditions. Expanding the labor pool to include younger drivers will make it easier for companies to avoid paying higher wages. Members of Congress took the driver shortage complaints at face value, and the White House openly embraced the prospect of lower labor costs, reducing the prices of consumer goods. The reason this was included in Bipartisan Infrastructure Act is because we need to address the shortage of drivers, which is impacting, of course, the transferring of goods and then the cost of goods on our shelves. So the Republicans don't want to deal with voting rights, but they was willing to support 18-year-olds driving trucks. And we think it's good for black folk. The administration announced the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program this week as one of several parts of the infrastructure bill set to take effect, including $27 billion to repair bridges around the country. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration said that sometime in the near future, it will set up a website with information about the apprenticeship program for younger drivers. So this is already done. This is happening. So now you, as the parent, have to begin to talk to your kids. Do you like driving trucks? And what, if you don't want them to drive a truck, the consequences and everything else. You're going to have these discussions. You can't wait. Because they're going to sell them on the camel with the smoking cigarette. They're going to sell them on the lure. You can make $14,000 in a month. They ain't going to tell them about the accidents and the jail and the fatal crashes. They ain't going to tell them, no, you don't make that. Not you. You gotta be like 20 years in the business. They don't tell them that, no, you here to be exploited because you don't have no truck. And your parents don't have one neither. So you're going to start at the bottom. They're going to have you carrying just a bunch of metal bars, your whole load. They don't tell them you got to take the stuff on and off the truck too. You don't just pull up and then they just throw your stuff in there. No. And they don't pay you for that time. I just want to talk, bro. However, Zach Callahan says it's offensive that the administration used the word safe in the program's name. Again, Safe Driver Apprenticeship Program Pilot. I get that the administration has to abide by the law that Congress passed and launched this apprenticeship program, but there's no reason to call it safe. Callahan's director of Truck Safety Coalition, a Washington, D.C. based nonprofit. This is putting lipstick on a pig. They're gaslighting the American people. As the Congressional Research Service has noted, studies consistently show that young commercial drivers, like young drivers overall, and let's make sure we know who we're talking about. We're talking about your baby. Let's bring them on screen. We're talking about your baby. Congressional Research Service has noted studies consistently show that young commercial drivers, like young drivers overall, are much more likely to be involved in crashes than their older counterparts. Fatal truck and bus crashes increased 47% between 2009 and 19, according to the most recent FMCSA numbers. The pilot program requires 400 hours of additional training, most of it accompanied by an experienced driver. So a lot of this is going to be free driving. I wouldn't doubt that 200 is with somebody in the truck. And think about it, how good teachers that these truck drivers are, and whether they want to teach anybody at all. And then the other two, you're going to drive on your own. Kilpatrick said it requires trucks to be equipped with advanced safety features such as active braking and video cameras. Okay. But the argument that the program will merely allow experienced 18-year-old drivers to finally cross state lines obscures how that actually changes the job, said Steve Vasili, a trucking economic expert at the University of Pennsylvania. Driving within state lines generally means going home every night. Driving interstate can mean long trips away from home with more opportunity for fatigue. These drivers are going to be driving irregular hours for weeks, sometimes months at a time, Vasili said. That's a fundamentally different kind of work. So they tired of trying to educate your children. We're not doing free college and free community college and none of that. Get in this truck. Again, 310-388-3499. Call in. I want to hear from you. I want you to engage me in this discussion. I know it's a little heavy, but it's time for you to get real. You brought this baby into the world. What they gonna do for a living? We ain't hearing no more crypto or you gonna be a millionaire next year. We talking about what they gonna do for a living. They done took away the free community college. You ain't say nothing. You don't have no inheritance. You already got student loans because your parents didn't save nothing for you. At some point, somebody got to pay. Please support the channel. Super Chat, Patreon, Cash App. Let's take the first caller of the night. Let's get this going. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Tone. This is Cynthia. I'm calling from Montgomery County, Ohio.
Hey, give me your take on this. I mean, what you think about Biden allowing teenagers to drive trucks interstate?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. He's doing this for the immigrants. I'm just going to be honest with you. I live where I live at. There's a lot of Russian immigrants coming in, and they have the lockdown on the trucking industry. So this is the perfect industry for immigrant folks, and it blocks Adolf out once again. But this is definitely, in my opinion, for the immigrants.
Yeah, the problem is that we all can't use our opinions because we all don't know. I'm saying that. What do you think if your baby had to drive a truck? 18 years old, they ain't got no job. They ain't got no job.
Well, I would be very upset, and I would hope. Well, I'll put it this way: I would work to make sure that my 18-year-old would not have to drive a truck. I'll just put it that way. I would find other options.
Okay. Right now, the other option is Uber. We didn't say, and I'm not talking, I don't know your situation. I'm not hearing black parents when the 18-year-old comes to the door and say, I'm about to do Grubhub or Uber to survive, say, I'm going to find another option. So if the other option is going to be Uber or Grubhub, we back to square one. The question becomes, at what point do you realize you can't afford the life you already have? This is not about reparations for a future spend. This is about reparations for a past by. And I feel like when we look at this truck thing in the context of Biden and Obama creating Uber, and nobody talked about it other than me and Yvette. Still, I don't hear nobody connect Obama to Uber. Uber came about under Tom Perez, Barack Obama's labor secretary, who became the head of the DNC. And literally, he just walked away unscathed. Like, black people still like buy Michelle Obama books and talk about Obama and don't talk about Uber, and their kid driving Uber. So if you let your kid drive Uber, what make you? If you let you got two babies, let's say, and you got one that's 24 right now driving Uber and Grubhub every night. You can't keep telling yourself that you're not gonna let the younger one drive a truck when it come available. We always tell ourselves we're not gonna let this happen, but then when it's time to do the politics for this not to happen, it don't be there. I want to ask you something else. What you think about the possibility that these people are gonna be distracted? Playing with their iPhones and the iPads and everything.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing, too, some of these truckers, I know a few personally, who shoot dope, shoot meth so that they can stay up. So I would not be surprised if you got some meth heads, fentanyl heads, driving those trucks out on the highway. And I'm talking about the trucks with the propane and the flammable liquids and things of that nature. Oh, absolutely.
I want to read something to you because we going around. And this is a little older, but this is about distraction. In 2014, 3,179 people were killed and 431,000 were injured in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. 169 billion text messages were sent every month in the U.S. in 2014. 10% of all the drivers ages 15 to 19 involved in fatal crashes were reported as distracted at the time of the crash. 10% of all the drivers ages 15 to 19. So they're going to let the 18 and 19-year-olds now drive trucks. So if 10%, 1 in 10 going to be using their phone and cause an accident, and then probably half going to use their phone while they drive in the middle of the night on the side of a mountain in Colorado. Percentage of drivers text messaging or visibly manipulating handheld devices. In 2013, it was 1.7. In 2014, it was 2.2. You can only imagine it's probably like 10% now. 660,000 drivers are using cell phones or manipulating electronic devices while driving at any given daylight moment. Drivers in their 20s are 38% of the distracted drivers who were using cell phones in fatal crashes. Does this make you scared about the potential to have these people on the road driving these trucks?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Any last thing you want to say to the audience? The queue is full. I'm going to give everybody a chance.
No, but I, you really have to think about the drug usage because they're going to be using drugs and driving these trucks. They're going to be shooting meth because that keeps them up for days at a time, especially if they're working for a company that's pushing them to get their load to a specific place at a specific time.
Come on, man. I appreciate you calling in and starting the night off because you just started off so powerful. I just would say, sometimes I think, and I'm not saying that you're doing this right now, we'll jump in and add an element that takes away the most like immediate concern of our own. Meaning, yeah, this might be about immigrants, but what we do know is your baby might be the one driving a truck late at night, and that's all that matters. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. Oh man, can we talk about it? I got a full queue 310-388-3499. I got this article here because everything is set upon I believe the mythology that there's a truck driver shortage. There's not a truck driver shortage. They just squeezing the pay and people don't want to do this. This is the most dangerous job in America. According to some metrics, this is the most dangerous job in America. You can just look at the trucks and tell. How many of y'all sat in one of them trucks? Let me show it. I showed it earlier. I'm going to show it again. I'll probably show it 3 times throughout the show. How many people sat in one of these trucks? Look, it don't look like no BMW. You got to sit in there for like 12 hours straight. Look at that. Ain't got no CD player. Got an 8-track in there. Look at how he shifts them gears. You're going to get arthritis doing that. You got to do that all day long in the cold and stay awake. Bruh. They're not telling the whole story. They're giving us a piece of the story, and they're gonna be doing this while they try to do that. What I just showed you. Oh my God, my God! Is there really a truck driver shortage? A number of outlets, including Newsweek, recently reported that a truck driving company in Texas, Sisu Energy, is offering to pay truck drivers $14,000 a week or $728,000 a year because of a nationwide shortage of truckers. All you got to do is go down to Texas and drive a truck for a couple of years, and you'll be a millionaire. There's one problem. Those news stories flying around out there are misleading and inaccurate. This is what I was talking about. They're going to sell your baby on the glistening gold, the diamonds, and ain't no diamonds, it's just hard rocks. There's just one problem. Those news stories flying around out there are very misleading and inaccurate, says Kerry Grunzy, the director of recruiting for the company. For one thing, Sisu Energy does not pay salaries to its truckers. Its truckers are independent contractors who get paid by the load, which means to earn anything, drivers first have to get their own trucks and acquire the skills and certifications to haul frac sand, a valuable sand used by fracking companies to blast oil and gas out of the ground. The most productive drivers, the company says, can bring in up about 14 grand a week. But with this money, they have to cover all the costs of their truck, fuel, insurance, equipment, repair, and maintenance. For right now, for a seasoned truck driver, it's about $1,000 a month for their insurance. So for an 18-year-old, it's probably going to be like $1,700 a month. Are you going to pay that as a parent? Plus, you might have to do a contract for the load because the load's going to come up missing. So now they need something to lean on to give you the load. It's a lot here, bro. They done told you a whole story about how this is going to work out. It's not going to work out like that. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, so this is Tiffany. I'm calling back. How are you?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man, let me tell you, this is just strange. I was talking to my sister earlier, and we're frequent on TikTok. And I found a video of a boy, he's got to be like 20 years old, who, does videos of him, living the trucker life. He was in the military, something happened with that, and then he transferred over. But I found it quite strange. Me and my sister were talking about this today, like literally 2 hours ago. Nothing but trucker videos have been playing on TikTok. Like couples that are trucking, black female drivers that are trucking. Their pages have 40,000 people subscribe to them, 50,000, 60,000, 70. And I kept asking myself, where the hell did this come from? When did all of these types, TikTok is like dance, they like to mimic and different things like that. But over the past, I'd say 3 weeks, it's nothing drivers, whether they be a couple, whether it be a young man, whether it be a young lady, and we were like, we didn't ask for these videos to show on our page. It's not our interest.
Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question.
Police
let me jump in here.
Yeah.
You see this picture on the screen? Imagine driving a truck on this black ice through this mountain in Colorado at 3 in the morning and 4 in the morning. Imagine, okay, you see this other picture. It's probably a little delayed with yours. You gotta jump on this truck, and maybe your ankle. Hopefully your ankle don't get messed up like mine, because you ain't nowhere near the house, and you gotta knock this ice off the windshield. Hold on. What does commercial truck insurance cost? For hire transport, truckers who haul goods such as general freight and autos. For hire specialty, truckers who specialize in specific niches such as garbage, septic waste, or logging. Our national average monthly commercial truck insurance range from $640 for specialty truckers, that ain't your baby, to $1,000 for transport truckers. That's who you gonna be. So we talking probably, that's normal. So yours gonna be like $1,500, $1,600. So I mean, I guess I come back to it and I just ask the question, when you start seeing the apparatuses in place, like what you're talking about, because obviously they're using these things to market, like I said, to get. So now we see a shift. We always wonder what they're gonna do if they're not gonna give us reparations and they're not gonna give us college no more. What are they gonna do? Uber and truck driving. So I mean, how does that make you feel? I don't know if you're a parent. I don't know if you have nieces or nephews. Where does the discussion go from here?
The sad part is, like, I do read the comments on a lot of these truckers' pages, and people black kids black kids that are in their 20s are asking how much money it is, and these young truckers are hyping it up. See, I got a kitchen back here. They gave me enough room to have a bed. I put my groceries up here, and the kids are asking, how long does it take? Oh, I can hook you up. If I refer you, I get $2,000, and then you get $2,000. And your first month alone, you make it $3,000. And to a ADOS child like where I'm from, in Chicago, that seems sweet. I'm on my own. I'm not being bothered by anybody. And you mean I can drive a truck? But they're not telling you when, like you said, there's black ice. They're not telling you. The other day I saw one where this guy and his girlfriend had to wait at a Walmart in a line for their truck to be switched out for 5 hours.
Can I ask you to do something with me? Dude, I ain't never done this before. Yeah. I'm gonna pretend that I'm your baby. I'm calling your son. I'm calling you at 2 a.m. I'm gonna ring, mama, you awake?
Hello.
Mama.
Yeah, I'm awake.
I was driving. I don't know where I'm at. I just know I'm in Colorado, and the bridge too low. So I'm looking. I don't know what to do, but it then took off the top of the truck. See, we're not even built to deal with that. What do you do with that? You have no wealth. What do you do with? This is not normal type problems for a black working class person to have to engage with. You see the picture on the screen right now. Lateef Edwards said every year at least 5 trucks get stuck under the low bridge. I bet you it's higher than that, Lateef. But I have a picture of one. This is very easy to do if you don't know what you're doing, because you think that you got enough room and you ain't got enough room.
Yeah, and not only that, like if you even look at what happened with them stalling for 4 days because there was an accident, there was a truck accident. There's nothing that I can, if I was a black parent, I'm a black person, but I'm just saying, if I was a parent, there's nothing that I can do to come and get you out of that. I don't have the wealth. I can't book you a hotel. I can't tell you to walk and then, go from there. I don't have the money to do that. I don't have the money to come get you if you fly in Colorado. I don't have it.
Oh, somebody just said.
I have to pick a person that's like you.
Kevin Martin just said a key point. Government data says that most owner operators make less than $80K net. That means you own your own truck. Your baby don't own their own truck. They're gonna make like $25,000 doing it. And then hopefully they know how to do taxes because you don't know how to do taxes. You know how to do taxes when you work at the post office. It means you worked all year and you just go to TurboTax and you put it in and it just no, you got to keep track of a business now. And so I just want to look. I'm going to read some more of this article to you, and then you just give me your take on it. Let me read. Is there really a truck shortage, a truck driver shortage? But beyond the ridiculousness of how journalists told the story, and when they talk about the story, talk about how they misstated how much you can make per month per week. I'm sorry, at 14,000, so that you can get all these people interested in driving these trucks. When in actuality, you ain't making that. But beyond the ridiculousness of how journalists told the story, is there actually a nationwide shortage of truck drivers? The lobbying organization for the nation's big trucking employers, the American Trucking Association. See, that's the side that Biden is siding with. There's another side that's labor. This is not labor, that's the businesses. The American Trucking Association has been making the argument since the 80s, yet store shelves, meaning the argument there's a shortage so that they can lower the age, yet store shelves somehow remain stocked in the capitalist system where you can pay people to do basically anything. How is it even possible to have a worker shortage for multiple decades? In a 2019 study published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, economists Stephen Burks and Christian Monaco investigated claims by industry leaders that the truck labor market was somehow broken enough to create a decades-long shortage. Standard economics says if you don't have enough workers, you raise wages, and within a reasonable amount of time, presto, no more shortage. Is truck driving somehow different? A thorough investigation led them to conclude that the trucking labor market is not different. It is not broken. That companies are competing to fill open jobs, but it functions in the same way as any other labor market. There is no shortage, says Todd Spencer. This is labor side. Todd Spencer, the president of the owner operator Independent Truckers Association. His organization represents more than 150,000 mostly self-employed truck drivers around the U.S. Their interest in improving the pay and livelihoods of their trucker members has long come into conflict with the interest of the ATA, which represents the big trucking companies. The big trucking companies want to secure a steady supply of cheap labor, and the ATA has spent years lobbying the federal government to loosen regulations in the industry. It is now, meaning the ATA, meaning business, pushing for the Drive Safe Act in Congress, which will allow 18-year-olds to begin driving trucks across state lines. So you guys told me to vote for Biden, but what does it matter if he gives us the same policy or worse policy than Trump? So give me your take on this, and I'll let you go.
It seems like, they already know that this younger generation of millennials, in which I'm included in also, that telling them that they're going to make more and giving them independence is the appeal. When the reality is that a lot of these children are not going to research. They don't know any labor statistics or any of the information that you have. So the draw and the appeal is going to be you're not going to really have a boss. But you also ain't going to make that much either. And you're not going to have a secure enough future for when you do decide at the age of 40, 45 that you're done being in the truck, because the longevity is not going to be there. You're not staying in that truck over your 40.
Yeah, man, we got a full queue. Let me try to get the full queue in. I appreciate you calling. I appreciate you calling the other day on that prison show. It really was a powerful call. Thank you so much also to Landre for donating.
No problem.
Oh, man. You too. We got a lot going on. I'm taking a couple callers. Let everybody get in. 310-388-3499. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? All right. Call back. We got to keep the queue running. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? 404. I'm coming to you.
What's up, Tom?
Hey, what's up?
Tom?
What's up with you? Give me your take on this.
Man, I drove over the road for like 5 or 6 years, man. This is one of the most savage things.
Wait, slow down for a second. I want to make sure that everybody got. So you're a truck driver that drove for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Just making sure that everybody understands that.
Over the road.
What does that mean?
call reefers. I drove refrigerated. I delivered to grocery stores and stuff like that.
Okay.
And this has got to be one of the most savage things Biden has ever done, man. This is not good. When you step into the cab of a truck, you look at the padding in the truck, it's going to tell you the gravity of the situation. Over a period of time, when you're driving, you start to see things that the average driver does not see. In terms of what it takes to stop a truck, once you realize what it takes to start and stop a truck, you'll never drive your car the same way again around the truck. Once you figure that out. So for a young person, it's a lifestyle change that you have to understand. You're stepping into a different institution. In other words, at 18 or 19, beyond the truck is how a young person is to carry themselves in other cities, other towns, in other parts of the country. If you're a minority, being in West Virginia, if you're a minority, being in certain places, if you hit anything, the whole town comes out on you. Children are not ready for that. They're not mature enough to themselves in those spaces. And, you know, this is just a savage play on taking advantage of the youth. Exactly what you're saying. You know, they're going to put them in trucks and basically they're going to train them. And in the course of training, they're going to run them all over the country and take advantage of them.
You know, and what's crazy is where's Nicole Heather Jones? Where's Ta-Nehisi Coates? Where's Bakari Sellers? Where's Angela Rye? Where's all these black folk? Like they don't say nothing. And then go ahead.
They don't. I will say this about the average layperson that comes in. They don't really know what we know as drivers. They don't really know what it takes to do that. So they might be unaware in terms of the depths of what's expected of a
well, if you collect $1 million grant, if you get $1 million MacArthur grant or because of talking about reparations, you got to know. The layperson, I'll give it to you. These are not lay people that I'm talking about. I'm talking about people on TV selling blackness. And if you're gonna do that, then it's time for you to start talking about black people's problems. And this isn't just black people, but this will hit black communities because they have suffocated us of opportunity. Let me ask you one other question. I want to drill down on something that only you can answer other than other truck drivers. Can you tell us about what happens? And I'm gonna read this to you. Commercial truck hits cars, plows into Shreveport businesses. So this car up here, this truck wasn't going that fast, and it hit this car, and caused this damage. And then it ran into a liquor store. And can you talk about how easy this can happen and what happens when a truck hits a car?
Any simple distraction of a split second, either you or the person you hit is going to the hospital. If they're lucky, they're dying. Any split second, any wrong move, anything. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
And you know what's a trip? I'll tell you this that people don't understand. You don't get 2 shots at your license. Truck driving and your regular life are together. So if you get your license taken on points from truck driving, you can't use it for regular getting around either. So understand they will hit you with all kind of things like a cell phone for a point and a half. Here in California, your second cell phone, if you own your cell phone and if you own your cell phone for a second time in your truck, they don't tell everybody, but in the commercial handbook is a point and a half, and they take your license for like 60 days. Your third one, they take it for 6 months. But it ain't like they just take your trucking license. No, that's just your license that's gone. So we add that to the possibility of jail time or even worse, themselves killing themselves or killing someone else with these trucks. It don't make no sense. Go ahead.
Oh, it's sad, and you're right about the point system. These are the things that they use to control your salary, to cap you, to keep you from making money, to keep you out on the road. They want to get you out of the backwoods of Georgia and have you come up to haul that salt to Minneapolis. They want to get you over the border if they can get your passport so they can run you all around and bring you back. They want to get you into the most remote mountains of Laramie, Wyoming, in the middle of the snow, and go places where people typically don't want to go. That's where you're going to be going. You're going to be going to no man's land in a lot of spaces in the snow.
Can I ask you a question?
Back to that,
Can I ask you a question about driving? I have a picture up on right now. It may be a little delay for you. Tell us what it is to drive in this mountain in say a Colorado or something at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and how hard that is on black ice or maybe you can whatever you however you would describe it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bulk of your driving, you're going to take advantage of the night because there's less people on the road. It'll just be you and maybe the military out there. So you're going to have to get accustomed to driving at night with your beams on at a certain pace. And what you really have to do, you got to hope that you got enough weight on the truck in the right spaces in the trailer to keep it balanced. So you have to load the truck at a certain balance so it won't throw the truck, so it won't jackknife. That's another thing. But yeah, it takes experience, and you're not going to have that at 18. It takes time to get that.
Let me ask you one last thing. I got something on screen. I got clearly a mama trying to teach her baby how to drive. This baby might be 17 years old, which means next year she can drive a truck. Next year she might have to drive a truck. I said, think about your daughter driving a truck across country on her own. Now, I put it with this story that came out. You're probably aware of it. Most truckers are, where they gave this young man 110 years. They reduced it to 10 now, but initially it was a 110-year sentence. And then there was also multi-million-dollar claims for him killing these 4 people. Maybe now you see why we needed a full push for reparations and an ADOS elevation of lineage and us being a priority. What I ask you is, I don't know if you have babies. What do you feel as a truck driver, as a person who has children, about this young girl driving trucks across the country?
It's scary. It's really scary, and it's part of the reason why I see now why they really want everybody to stay in the house, why they want everybody indoors, because they know what they're about to do outdoors. I don't want to be on the road, man. I really don't. And as far as that caption you have there, it's so unfair. I feel like whatever company had that kid out there driving like that, they should be held accountable to some degree too, if to do with the company driver situation. And as far as independent tractor owners, no matter how much money they make, it's so expensive for upkeep and maintenance. You're only going to clear $70,000, $80,000 after you pay out everything. So no, man, I don't want that for a kid. 18, you barely want it for a young person now.
And I would argue that we always have to look at it reasonable. For a kid, they will not own the truck, and also the reason that you bring them in is to get the worst bids or the worst loads. They'll be at the bottom of every bid. That means that they might clear $25,000-$30,000, but work 80-hour weeks driving these trucks if they can make it through the year. Is that the life we want for our babies? Would you agree? You see what I'm saying?
Even scarier than that, they try to convince the new driver to come in and buy his own truck for the company. But what it really is, it's a scam for the driver. Now listen to me on this. The driver will attempt to buy the truck from the company, okay?
Sharecropping. It sounds like sharecropping.
Yeah, they'll control. Right. That's exactly what they're going to do to you. They're going to control the routes that you get, and then once you can't pay the truck off, they're going to take the truck right back from you. And overall, what you've done is you paid for the truck with your slave labor. That's trucking.
Man, I just wanted to get in here. Thank you so much for calling in. You dropped that knowledge. I know I wouldn't want my baby driving no truck. But a lot of y'all might not have a choice because they're going to come in and tell you they driving a truck. I'm 18. See, there's a reason they said 18. See, 16, 17, they need your signature. 18, they just go drive the truck and call you with the problem at 2 a.m. Remember how I called my mama earlier? Mama, my top of my truck fell off in Colorado. Can you come get me? Don't wait till it's 2 a.m. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Antonio? This is Christian Mosley from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
What's up, Christian? What's your take on this whole topic? Biden gonna let us drive trucks, but ain't got nothing on community colleges.
No, you're absolutely right. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. So I'm 21 years years old. I've actually been watching you and Miss Yvette Carnell for quite a few years. I've been watching since I was about 16, so I'm deep in the ADOS family. But to comment on what you're talking about, I know exactly. I'm not a trucker, but I do understand what it's like to be on the other end of being taken advantage of, especially with them talking about a quote unquote labor shortage. And it's really not a labor shortage. And a lot of people keep thinking that, all of these jobs and help wanted signs everywhere is because, people don't want to work, and that's not it. There's no livable wages being made available anywhere.
Can I read something? Hold on. Let me get that framework. Let me frame this for you. We're coming back to the NPR story. Is there really a truck driver shortage? In it, they make the argument there isn't. But let me read some more to you going to what you're talking about. While truckers skew older, trucking is one of the largest occupations in America, with more than 2 million heavy and tractor-trailer truck drivers. The ATA, which is business side, says the real shortage is in long-haul trucking, which refers to truck drivers who have to travel long distances across state lines. The government estimates there are between 300,000 and 500,000 long-haul truckers in America. And according to the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, state governments issue more than 450,000 new commercial driver's licenses every year. A large fraction of those drivers enter the long-haul trucking industry. The real problem, Spencer says, and this is an expert, it's not a shortage, but retention. According to the ATA's own statistics, the average annual turnover rate for long-haul truckers at big trucking companies has been greater than 90% for decades. What does it tell you when a job has a 90% turnover for decades? It tells you it's an awful job. We have millions of people who have been trained to be heavy-duty truck drivers who are currently not working as heavy-duty truck drivers because the entry-level jobs are terrible, says Steve Vasili, a sociologist at the University of Pennsylvania who studies the trucking industry. The biggest issue is how the companies pay the truckers. Compared with other blue-collar occupations, the median annual income of a trucker is actually pretty good, $47,000. But long-haul truckers commonly work extremely long hours, often 60 to 70 hours per week or more, and drivers are typically not paid by the hour. Instead, they are typically paid only by the number of miles they drive. The average truck driver gets paid 52 cents a mile, according to the Department of Transportation. Even if weather or traffic slows them down and extends their working day, they get paid the same. Moreover, they're not compensated for the significant time it takes to load or unload their truck, and they're not compensated for their off time, even though they're miles and miles away from home. Being a long-haul trucker also means living out of your truck because motels are pretty expensive and often don't have parking for big rigs. Meanwhile, finding parking to rest anywhere is a growing problem. Somebody will steal your truck. Somebody will steal your truck and your load. So I think you gotta carry a gun. I think you do. This is not for games. So you got to be out there, some city you don't know. The cops want to set up speed traps to give you tickets. Somebody want to steal your load because you pray, and you trying to make money. You don't understand that you ain't no point in being out here if you don't have no health insurance. But you didn't get health insurance. You're an independent contractor out here with heavy loads. See, like during the day for a regular person, we don't lift and carry heavy stuff. We might not have no waste, no radioactive waste or whatever in the back. But when you got all that, you need premium insurance. But then now you got to tell the insurance people that you're a truck driver. And that affects your insurance. Let me finish reading this and I'm going to come right to you. Being a long-haul trucker also means living out of your truck. So we just talked about the motels and their truck drivers are 10 times more likely to be killed on the job than the average worker. Give me your take on this and I'll let you go.
I completely 100% agree with you. Interestingly enough, so I actually have one of my sisters-in-law. She is a truck driver, and one of the things that I found out is that with me, I was also a former small business owner. But with people thinking, and it was funny, we actually interacted on Twitter the other day when I was kind of talking about like you can't just LLC your way to freedom. That's not how this works. Your LLC, you go to the Secretary of State website. It's a tax ID. It's not a business. Doesn't mean that you get any products. Doesn't mean that you know how to market. It doesn't mean any of that. All it means is that the government knows how to find you when you finally start making a decent amount of money. And on top of that, with you mentioning that because ADOS have no wealth, we are a wealthless group. That means you can't own a truck.
You a sharecropper. This is modern day sharecropping.
Average income.
This is modern day sharecropping. That's what they setting up. I hope everybody sees it.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. And even with myself, like I've worked in retail since I was probably about 16, 17 years old. And companies like Dollar General and Lowe's Home Improvement, they treat their employees horribly. They make these incredible gains in millions and millions of dollars. And I'll actually tell this quick story, and I'll try and hop off. Interestingly enough, I had a close friend of mine who was also white of Irish descent, and we both worked for the exact same wages. He was about maybe 10, 12 years older than me. He and his father were able to put in on getting a house, and it was just like a small, like trailer-style home. It's not even like a brick and mortar type thing. But he got a small trailer, so he's got a little bit of something in his name. And his wife worked, my wife worked as well, and so we were all making the same income. And then the boss decided to give me a small raise, but the fact of the matter is, my white friend is still worth more than me because he actually owned his house. I'm living in a one-bedroom apartment with no inheritance. I got to pay. I couldn't even afford the insurance at my job because of how expensive it was and how low the wages were. So to everybody listening, like, you got to understand, this isn't a game anymore. We're on what Missy Bett always says, we're on a cliff. You either fight for your freedom or you die talking. We don't have enough time for people to be talking black on the internet anymore and trying to be the next person that can explain how we built the pyramid. It doesn't matter. You can't pay your rent right now. You can't pay for your insurance or build a business right now. And even if you do build a business, you're not involved in the politics enough to even protect your business from other giant corporations taking it over from you.
We saw, caller, we saw the Federal Reserve data. White America has about 83 million homes. We have 20 million. That's 1 to 4 when you look at homes. They got 12 trillion in business. We got a few hundred billion. We don't exist in business in America. People just talk about it. Don't know nobody with no business with no employees. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you. You were a powerful caller, man. You always support. Thank you. Look, man, we got callers all around this country, but I gotta get to something that I just seen. I want to make sure that I talk about this because it's a poignant point. I talked about carrying a gun earlier, and a couple people jumped in. Jumez says you can't carry a gun on the road. Yeah, you can't. Legally, you can't. Quantum Blackness says, nope, guns ain't legal with truck drivers. You're right. So basically, slowing that down, you got to be in this truck at 3 a.m. in Colorado. You sleeping in the truck and you carrying other people's stuff. There's people out here who will steal your truck and your stuff. Who you think ain't gonna be carrying a gun? So they know you got a gun now because you're driving a truck in a place you don't know, and now the cops pull you over and you got a gun. They set it up so that you lose. That's all I'm talking about. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? This is Troy calling from the Forces Mount in Dallas.
What's up, man? Give me your take on this.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the topic at hand. Number one, any job where you sit down for a long, extended period of time is going to be bad on your health.
Yep.
Your blood pressure and everything like that. That's another one of those unaccounted
Eating
things
junk food and candy and all that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And on top of what you were saying about they're not going to pay for community colleges with the loans and stuff like that before. What the amount of money people are spending trying to get in and make all this money that they talk about and all this entrepreneurs working on TikTok and all these other channels and stuff is going to lure these young people in there, and all that money that you would have spent, just like you're going to spend comparable, that's the same amount of money you would have spent on your home to make it before trying to do this trucking thing, and it's very dangerous.
Man, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I got a full queue. Give me your last take on this topic, and I'm gonna let you go.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, at that age, you're driving the truck all the time, and a young person is getting trapped into their lifestyle. It's like you'll be 30 years old before you get back on your feet trying to get that head off, and the camera is gonna be on you because the tech companies, with these tech companies, whatever the main business is never the real job. So if they got a camera on a young driver, that's because they couldn't get the old drivers in the car with the camera on them, because that driver knows that, hey, this camera is training me from training the AI to eventually replace me. And so that's why they don't mind going into young kids and
Thank you so much for calling, man. I'm gonna take a few more callers because I got some more show to get to. I want to give everybody a chance to get in here. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? 813 coming to you.
Hey, hello, how you doing there, Tone? This is James, currently calling out of Savannah, Georgia. I am a over-the-road truck driver.
Oh man, long haul or within state?
Long haul. That's what over-the-road means. That's
Okay.
what OTR
Okay.
means.
Can I
You're
read
going-
something to you?
You're interstate.
I want to read something to you.
Excuse me?
I want to read something to you.
Okay.
It's a tweet that I pulled up on screen, not my tweet. Young woman, I'm guessing she has children. She says, this is going to be horrible. This meaning Joe Biden allowing 18-year-olds to drive trucks. Kids can't do anything without a device stuck in their face. Add to that the lack of maturity, inability to take correction and direction, and the inexperience on the road driving cars, let alone a rig. It's going to be a lot of car accidents. What are your thoughts about distraction and texting, and whether they're going to be on the iPads trying to drive these trucks because watching a Netflix show or something else?
Tone, that is exactly true. I see it every day when I'm in the truck driving. I see other truck drivers doing it. Okay? They watch movies, they text. Some of them have their foot up on the dash. You know, there's a lot of distractions. So this is a very bad thing. There's a reason why currently people this young are not allowed to drive commercial trucks. This will be a big mistake. I'm 61, so I'm giving you straight.
Yeah,
no.
That's what I want.
Okay.
That's what I want. Let me ask you something else. I showed a video a couple of times. We're gonna show it one more time because we got a truck driver here. Is this? What do you think about? Like, look at this. It's so many buttons in here. They look old, but they got gauges and buttons. Can you describe what this is that I'm looking at? Why it's got so many buttons on there? What they controlling them gauges?
Yeah. That's either a Peterbilt or a Kenworth, and it's an old style truck. Yes, very confusing looking. The newer trucks are not that confusing.
Okay.
Okay.
But the baby's gonna be renting trucks, so they might get an old one. Go ahead.
No. Most of these young people will be working probably for some big corporate trucking outfit.
Okay.
And they're going to be in the newer automatics.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, we hope that's the case.
Oh.
We hope that's the case.
Yeah, that's most likely to be the case. That's why there's a boom in female drivers. The sisters are out here getting it. They get it every day. There's a lot of them.
Okay. Any last thing you want to say about the whole thing about truck driving and Biden and how he tied to Uber, tied to mass incarceration, tied to student loans?
I don't know much about that. The only thing I can say is you clarified a point from one of your other articles when you read further into it, and that point is that the shortage is in long haul over the road truckers. Okay, and then also another key point you brought up is that it's the turnover rate. That 90% is why there's a shortage. Because once you do it, you learn this is not a job for everybody. It's a dangerous job, like you pointed out. So that's why the turnover rate is so high. And then also once you learn how the game is played as far as the pay, that's another thing that will send people home. You know, they say, hey, because you're going to work 14 hours a day, okay? Don't work 14. You can only drive 11, but the other 3, you are doing things around the truck, okay, that take up that time. So
you're supposed to keep a logbook and all that.
Not for everybody.
Thanks so much for calling, man. That was a great call. You got to keep a logbook and all that, and then people be messing with their logbook to make it look, and they do the logbook to make sure you took some sleep. That's why they give you the limits, but then you try to get home, play you some video games. You try to get home. Trucking is a total culture shock by this writer, Rainey. I'm going to read something to you. The erratic weather. Driving teams can send your body into a frenzy of reactions with the huge distances you can cover. One day I was in Miami with 90-degree temperature, and the next in Chicago with 2 feet of snow and high winds. Quickly changing elevations over the mountains caused my ears to pop and occasionally gave me a headache. The first time I drove through Wyoming was Easter weekend with 4 feet of snow, and some of y'all got kids that ain't never seen 4 feet of snow. You know, you got kids that's gonna go out here from LA and for the first time ever see snow when they drive it. They don't understand black ice. I remember I was driving in New Jersey. I ain't never seen driving like I saw in New Jersey. The first time I drove through Wyoming was Easter weekend with 4 feet of snow. Where were the tulips and fluffy bunnies? It's Easter. Instead, I drove through swirls of blowing snow that looked like the smoke from a 1930s Universal Studios movie. At any moment, I expected Bela Lugosi to jump out of the white fog and lunge into my to suck my blood. The vast weather conditions throughout the country amazed me. Snow in the Northeast can be wet, while sleet while with sleet, while our West is more dry. Coming down. In addition, crazy schedules, and I'm jumping down. In addition to all of these environmental differences, the constant hurry up and wait mentality with a total lack of routine can shatter a newcomer's trucking dream. There is no wake up at 7 o'clock, take a shower, eat breakfast, and start work. There's no I'm going home every night and seeing my family after ending my day at 4 o'clock. Even local truck drivers might not get to go home daily and often work way more hours than a typical blue collar worker. Again, this article is trucking is a total cultural shock if you wanted to read on your own. Shout out to 300 GT for support. Um, I'm just saying to you, I'm looking at this discussion and I'm asking myself, what's going on here? Support the channel, Super Chat, Patreon, ToneTalks.org to also support Tone Talks on both of those. Also, back to I respect the call, but there's nothing in these guidelines that said they're not gonna get a 18 speed. And if I'm a truck company, I'm gonna get a bunch of these and rent them lower and cheaper because the individual is gonna get to choose the truck. If I can rent you one of these cheaper and actually make you make some money, you're gonna rent one of these and do all this. Now, should you go with the automatic? Maybe. But that sounds like for somebody who's making some good money. That ain't gonna be your baby. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Let's take it. We got a full queue talking about this truck.
What up, though? Brian from Detroit, and I am a truck driver.
Oh man, Brian, let me say this. 6 out of 10 teen crashes involve driver distraction. The most common form of distraction leading to a teen driver crash includes 6% reaching for an object, 6% grooming, 8% singing and dancing to music, 9% looking at something outside the vehicle, 10% looking at something in the vehicle, 12% using a cell phone, and 15% interacting with one of the passengers. Teen driving at AAA. That's what this is from. I'm going to read some to you, and I'm going to let you just speak right after this. And I'm not going to read all 7 of them. Here are 7 of the most treacherous places to drive in the U.S. I want everybody to understand what we're talking about. I'm only going to read a couple of these. Colorado. For Colorado in particular, it's definitely the black ice and winds. And there are a lot of mountains, too. It's extremely dangerous to drive there. Many truck drivers use that state as a shortcut to the west, but it gives a lot of stress for drivers and wear and tear for the truck. Alabama. I'm wondering if being a central state has anything to do with it because drivers bringing freight or longer trips would be tired in the middle of the trip. Alabama will follow under that because you're allowed to drive 11 hours. So a lot of people get in there and they're in the middle of their drive and they done put in 10 and a half hours. They want to squeeze it out. Oklahoma. Southwest cities like Oklahoma City are dangerous in the spring weather with the thunderstorms and tornadoes. Nebraska. In Nebraska, in my opinion, the most dangerous situation is the weather condition. High winds and wide open spaces. They will tip an empty truck over. Because you gotta drive it there and then you gotta get it back. So if you're in Los Angeles, you gotta drive to the place and then you gotta get your truck back. You don't just fly back. What's your take on everything?
Yeah, I'll say I'm sort of stand in the middle as far as the policy, and that's if they put in place restrictions as far as different terrains these individuals can drive in.
Oh, ain't gonna be no restrictions. We can't. Let me say this. You can't add things. There's not no restrictions on what they can drive in. We gotta accept the policy for what it is, though. I agree with you. You have your right to say the middle, but there's no restrictions. That's why they're trying to get them in here to drive around in places that nobody else want to drive.
Yep, and that is true. And I mean, the only I'm nervous because I still believe ADOS is going to be still left out to dry. I believe other minority groups are going to jump on this, and it's going to be limited space for us, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get it. Let me read something to you. It's grueling work. Long distance truck drivers average about 125,000 miles per year. You know what it's like to drive? Well, you do. You do it. To drive 125,000 miles in a year and spend an average of 300 days on the road, according to the Woodford, Virginia-based CDS tractor trailer training. Hey, caller, I'm gonna get to a couple more people because I'm gonna end the show pretty soon. But I appreciate you calling, bro.
Right.
Thank you so much for supporting the show. And please be safe out there. I know you drive.
All right.
Whew, this is a heck of a show. I see the lines are lit. Let's take another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Tom, this is Stacy from Freeport, New York. Great show. And I just got to tell you, I've seen accidents where trucks are stuck under overpasses. Meadowbrook Parkway, Long Island, I've seen it several times. I have seen a truck hit the Unispan, Hofstra University, where we crossed when I was a student, crossing the road, you go over a Unispan. I have seen a truck hit the Unispan when I was a student there. I have driven the Wasatch and Rocky Mountain ranges in a car and seen where, if you have a runaway truck, there's an area for you to pull off, but even driving a car, I've driven it multiple times. Wyoming, Idaho, whatever. It's crazy out here. So to think that young people whose brains are not even developed yet, with all the distractions we have, are going to be able to do this job safely. This is the
and let me say this too. Let me say this too for black folks. We got to stop interjecting stuff that's not in the policy to make ourselves feel good. Not you. Earlier, a caller called in and said they're going to have them in automatics. Well, what Dark Matter is saying right now, and I don't know if he's in the truck, automatics he said, in death after treatment, make driving more expensive. Loss of driving time for repairs, breakdown pay is low. So we're giving a credit to the program that is not guaranteed, meaning they might be in this thing here. And we got to accept that these are out there. And these going to be the cheap ones that you want somebody who's going to crash to be in. So if you get that truck, can your baby drive that and get home safe? And does it make sense, or will they just not make no money and the experience be how they get paid? The other thing is, the other young man said they're not, as long as they don't put them on these kind of roads. Well, that's the whole point of the program, to put them on that road. So you can't be in the middle, because you would say, I'm in the middle as long as they give them not those roads. Right now, I believe they can drive in-state. When you drive in-state, you live in certain, you're not going to be on that road. The whole point of making it interstate is to get them on that road. So you just don't like the policy. But you got to say that to yourself. You got to say it's okay for this girl to go from learning how to drive a year later and being on this road by herself. And she got to protect herself with no gun from all kind of things that might happen to her in the middle of the night as she's sleeping in the car, in this truck. Let me come back up. What is the most distracting while driving? We're talking about these babies who grew up on Instagram and TikTok. They'll be messing around doing TikTok in the truck while they drive. Texting, 28%. Somebody said earlier that's what they're doing. Yelling at children and dealing with kids, 21%. Dealing with navigation systems, they don't know where they're going, 18%. Talking on the phone, 12%. Adjusting music, 10%. Adjusting heaters, 6%. So you got to turn that heater off sometimes too, and just driving the cold to try to save money on gas. It's all kind of truths here. Max Pink, and I want you to get your opinion on this. Let's connect this. She said, or he said, I can't tell the sex of this person. I believe it's a woman. She said Biden couldn't pass free community college for kids, but they can go drive a truck to be 4 times as likely to crash. Shaking my hood. No good options for poor and working class kids. Drive Uber, who pays $- or drive a truck, and the median pay is $47K. Will they pay teens that a mess. A massive blow to 8 million students. The Biden's free community college plan on the chopping block. Now, my response to her was, no, they're not paying them kids $47,000. You can forget about that. Same job, increased risk, they're going to pay them $27,000. And it will only make sense for the kid if the parents pay the $1,300 in the monthly insurance and likely sign a liability contract on the goods that might get lost that are in the truck. But what I want you to speak to is, what do you think about Biden not being able to deliver what community college for this baby, but can deliver a truck driving opportunity to drive across the nation with a bunch of metal pipes in the back?
Obviously, there's money involved for him and his campaign because this is just crazy. I mean, we always have to choose the worst option. We always do when it comes to young people. I mean, when it comes to us, it's always the worst. Now, consider this. Would you want a 21-year-old to pilot a commercial aircraft? I mean, when I'm on the road with these truckers, I look at, and I'm always, the expressway is crazy here on Long Island. I mean, we move fast. Unlike, I've been to LA, you move a little slower there because there's just too much traffic.
At least,
here,
yes.
And you see these big, I say, oh, I move out the way for the big boys because I know they can't stop on a dime.
But I want you to speak. Let me ask you something. Let me bring you in. I want you actually to really, really focus in. What do you think about the fact that he promised 2 years of community college for free, pulled that out of his bill, but then still got this about truck driving? How does that impact ADOS? How does that make you feel about the potential and what's going to happen to ADOS millennials and Gen Z as we move forward?
This is another horrible policy. This is horrible. Furthermore, they're thinking about automating all of these trucks. I don't see that happening, but then what? And this is not a career path for a young person. It's just not. I've known people who took this on as a career in their 50s. I know my friend's sister was a long-haul truck, 18-wheeler truck driver. So this is not what. And what about family life? How do you raise a family? How do you have we need stability. We don't need long-haul truckers. We need stability. This is just, I don't even know what you call it. You tell me.
Look, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much for calling. Look, we getting toward the past the hour mark. I don't want to hold people too long. What I wanted to do today was basically to kind of get into this truck driving and see this baby getting her key for her first truck drive and ask ourselves, what is going to happen next if and when your baby comes home saying, I'm about to drive a truck from New York to California or from California to Georgia to make an ends meet? Also, what does it mean that Biden, who gave us, along with Obama, Uber, who was the architect of mass incarceration, who gutted student loans, who has done so many policies, has now reneged on community college, that Biden has now reneged on community colleges, but then given us this truck driving? And are we ready to deal with the impact it might have on all of our lives and our teens and our young children's lives and potential going forward? Thank you so much for calling in. Please go to tonetalks.org to subscribe or donate. Share this video. Let's keep it going because nobody else is talking about this. You can look around. I don't see nothing. They come in late.